Hi ladies, it's Mr. O'Sullivan. Today we're going to be starting a new unit, lesson 7-1, Introduction to Sequences. Today's learning target is I can familiarize myself with sequence terminology by completing questions given a sequence. Just to give you a heads up, a sequence is a word you might not have heard before, or at least in math you might not have heard it, and it's a very special word. So that's actually our big definition for today. So a sequence is a very special type of function. Here's the definition of a sequence. A sequence is a function, make this a little thicker. A sequence is a function whose set of inputs, the domain, is a subset of the natural numbers. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. A sequence is often shown as an ordered list of numbers called the terms or elements of the sequence. Sequence function notation can be very, very tricky. So one of the things we need to know is that it is a function. Our sequence values, or our x values, or the terms that we're inputting into our sequence rule, will not repeat. They are very special. And remember, the numbers we're plugging in for our sequence, or our inputs, are our domain. And our domain is our x values. So for instance, like 1, 2, 3, 4, these are our x values. These are the numbers you plug in to find your answers. Example, consider the sequence below. If we represent the sequence with the letter A, then do the following. So we have a sequence that says the rule is 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, and 256. The first question I have for you, is this linear or exponential? Very good. This is exponential because I am multiplying by 2 each time. So to go from 4 to 8, I multiply by 2. To go from 8 to 16, I multiply by 2. 16 to 32, I multiply by 2. 32 to 64, I multiply by 2. 64 to 128, I multiply by 2. And 128 to 256, I multiply by 2. So we know this is a exponential behavior, so we will be going over what type of sequence that is in a few days. So what we're going to now look is, we're going to sort of associate some values with this. So I'm going to do a little erasing to make this a little less daunting. And if we look, the first number I said is 4. So I would say this is a sub 1. A sub 1. Sort of like when you sub in someone for basketball. I would then say my 8 is a sub 2. My 16 is a sub 3. 32 would be a sub 4. 64 would be a sub 5. 128 would be a sub 6. And then last but not least, 256 would be a sub 7. And what that means is that this is the first term in my sequence. This is the second term in my sequence. This is the third term in my sequence, and so forth. So part A says, find a sub 3. So all I have to do is I actually just have to go out 3. So this is a sub 1, this is a sub 2, and this is a sub 3. So my final answer would be 16. Part B says, find a sub 1 plus a sub 7. So if I look, I need to know what a sub 1 is. A sub 1 is 4. So I have 4 plus a sub 7. So 1, 2, a sub 3, a sub 4, a sub 5, a sub 6, a sub 7. So I now have to add 256 to my 4. 4 plus 256 is 260. Part C, find a sub 1 squared. So for this one, I need to know what a sub 1 is. If I look, a sub 1 is 4 again. So I'm going to do 4 squared. What's 4 squared equal to? Very good, it's 16. Because 4 times 4 is 16. I also could have gone into my calculator and typed in 4 squared and hit enter and got 16 that way. Part D, solve for n. So a sub n is equal to 128. So we basically want to go backwards. We want to find out what number or input we need to get that 128. So what we're going to do is we're going to count out. So a sub 1, a sub 2, a sub 3, a sub 4, a sub 5, a sub 6. So I can say a sub 6 is equal to 128, which means my n is 6. And that's your final answer. Real-world connection. It is said that the coronavirus is affecting the tri-state area, and students of the Urban Assembly School of Business Affairs and Women determined that the formula to represent the amount of people infected is given by a sequence. A sub n is equal to the n minus 3. Answer the questions that follow. Question number 1 says, how many people are affected by the coronavirus on the 3rd day? So now we don't have a list of numbers. What we're going to do is we're actually just going to plug in the number. So if I look, this is my 3rd term. So what I want to do is a sub 3. So a sub 3 equals 2 to the 3rd minus 3. Now the reason why I'm putting a 3 for my n is because that's where I'm plugging in. This is my sequence number, or my input, or my term number. So I do this on my calculator. So I literally type in 2 to the 3rd, take away 3, and what do I get? I get 5. So on the 3rd day, there are 5 people infected with the coronavirus. Okay. Number 2, how many people are affected by the coronavirus on the 8th day? So with this question, we do the exact same thing. So we're going to take our equation, or our sequence rule, and now we're going to plug in 8 for n. So I get a sub 8 equals 2 to the 8 minus 3. Go ahead and type that in your calculator. And I get 253. So I can say a sub 8 is equal to 253. So on the 8th day, there are 253 people infected. Number 3, what is the difference between the amount of people affected by the coronavirus on the 12th day compared to the 10th day? So this question is requiring you to actually find 2 values, my 10th day and my 12th day. So we want to find a sub 10 and a sub 12. So let's find both. I know a sub 10 is going to be equal to 2 to the 10th minus 3. I type that in my calculator, 2 to the 10th, take away 3, and I get 1,021. Now I want to find a sub 12. Go ahead and find a sub 12 by yourself. When I plug in, I do 2 to the 12th minus 3, so I type that in my calculator, and I get 4,093. So now here's what we need to do. We need to figure out, like, okay, what's the question actually asking? And if we look, the question's asking you the difference. Difference in math means subtraction. So I'm now going to do 4,093 take away 1,021. And when I do 4,093 minus 1,021, I get 3,072. So that's my difference. Question number 4 says solve for n when a sub n is equal to 61. So here's what we're going to do. We basically want to find out when 2 to the n minus 3 is equal to 61. This is a calculator question. You can't do this by hand. You can do this by hand in a few years, but you can't do it by hand this year. You don't have the skills yet. So we're going to go to y equals. We're going to type in 2 to the x minus 3, and now we're going to hit second graph. And if you look, I want to get a y value of 61. If I look, I have a y value of 2045, 1021, 109, 509, 253, 125, and then boom, 61. What is that x value or n value? Very good, it's 6. So I can say n is equal to 6. And that's your final answer. If you have any questions, please email myself or Miss Townsend. Have a great day, ladies.